Welcome to our final installment of this special USCCA broadcast with Eric Hung from Pew Pew Tactical. We've seen record growth in the firearms community recently, and now we're going to jump in and learn the next steps that every firearms owner needs to know. Let's get started. Next question up, how do we keep these people going? How do we be inclusive as gun owners, welcoming new people to this fold?
I think, just trying not to be the "I told you so" kind of gun owner. Just being inclusive of other people, sort of remembering how it was when you first handled your gun. I know for me, at least, I was a little apprehensive with my first gun. I definitely had like cold sweats when I was first shooting for the first few times. So I'm not too proud to admit that, but it does happen. So don't worry about it. It's definitely going to feel a little like even scary the first few times. And so that's just the way it is. At least it was for me. But
Yeah.
the more you practice, the more you train safely, the better you'll get.
Yeah, and I really have been saying for years that I don't want gun owners, experienced gun owners, to be the guy who is especially like, well, little lady, what you need is, don't be joining, the ranks of those folks. What you need as a gun owner is basically what you want, what fits right for you. The gun feels good in your hand. It's comfortable to shoot. It's comfortable to carry. You're going to carry it the way you want to carry it as long as you do that safely and legally. I'm here to help anybody who owns a gun. I'm not, I don't discriminate against any. If you're a gun owner, you're my friend because we're all doing the same thing. So, tell me a little bit more about your experiences with guns. You said you do some competitive shooting. What's that all about? What do you shoot competitively?
So when I first started, I got into three gun, which was a terrible place to start because you had to buy a lot more gear. But or that's the excuse I tell myself. But yeah, first started doing three gun. Didn't really like shotguns, or I was terrible at reloading. Um, and
Mm-hmm.
then just got more into rifle only competitions and a lot more USPSA, where I actually shot single stack. So that means 1911. So I do love my
Mm-hmm.
1911s. And then after I got married, there was definitely a little bit less time on the weekends. And then after I had my daughter, there was even less time. So now I only shoot night matches. So those are just on the
Okay.
weekends. Go there when it's dark, and then shoot for a few hours. And it's definitely a very very good experience. Like everything's different in the dark. You get to test out a lot of your flashlights, a lot of your gear. Everything breaks. And
Mm-hmm.
when funds allow, I'm looking forward to do some night vision stuff too. So that'll be
Oh
fun.
yeah, absolutely. Night vision, yeah, when funds allow. It is expensive, but it is really kind of cool looking through it, especially thermal imaging kind of stuff that's out there. I'm a little bit more interested in your night matches. How often do those go on? And I was going to ask the question, but you answered it. These are low light shoots. You're using lights, lasers, and things like that. Are you using weapon mounted lights or handheld lights, or is it different for each match?
Yeah, so you can use anything as long as it's pistol caliber. So there's PCC people and there's regular pistol people. And as for frequency, around me, it's once a month when there's no pandemic going around. But otherwise, like I've shot both, like or I guess all the possible variants with handguns with mounted lights. I've also shot it with like when you hold it on your hand, like Harry's method, where you put
Hmm.
the flashlight next to your gun, which makes it infinitely more difficult, and also PCCs with lights and lasers, which is almost cheating at that point. So
Yeah.
tried the whole gamut.
Yeah. And again, for all you new people out there, that's pistol caliber carbines. So it's a rifle, but it's chambered in pistol caliber. You're treating these new gun owners the way I do, Eric. I just start rattling off gun terms and I just assume everybody knows what's going on out there. And, it's my advice for welcoming new people, and I really hope to keep this, what I'm calling the new age of gun ownership, keeping this moving. I just want everybody to be inclusive. The fact that now maybe 3 million people who in the past didn't see the need for a firearm suddenly do, great. They need a firearm. They want a firearm. I'm not going to begrudge them whatever their decision was in the past. Let's help them out and show them that this gun ownership idea is not something that's crazy or weird, or we're not paranoid. We're people who are just ready to protect ourselves, ready, willing, and able to protect ourselves. And as Eric mentioned before, good training goes a long way. And there's good training out there in lots of different locations. And if you can't get out there right now to get it, you can find it online. You can read books. You can get videos. The USCCA has just a plethora, and I love using that word, a plethora of wonderful training, not only for our members, but there's some that's absolutely free out there for non-members too. Take a look at it, and you can see what's going on if you check out our website. Eric, how do we keep this lifestyle going? You said you started shooting a gun, you started shooting your 10/22, and you were immediately hooked. What if somebody isn't kind of immediately hooked? How do we inspire them and bring them around?
I think probably have them shoot a couple of your guns just so they can try like a lot of guns all at once, and they can see
Mm-hmm.
what really works for them. They might just really like shotguns, and then they maybe go into skeet and trap shooting, or they just really
Mm-hmm.
really love ARs and they get a little bit more tactical with their training. So I think it's just showing them all that there is with your plethora of
Mm-hmm.
guns.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's typically one of the reasons when I go to the range, I take a handful of guns with me. I'll take, maybe half a dozen or so, just in case I run into somebody who's, kind of like-minded and like, hey, would you like to try it? Here, I got this. It's new. I'm trying it out. Strangely enough, after all these years, I bought my first 380 caliber pistol just last year, and it's an old Beretta Model 84. One of the shrunken down Beretta Model 92s, I guess you'd call it. That's kind of what it looks like. And I've taken that out to the range a couple of different times and caught people just sort of staring at it like, wow, what is that thing? And I'll put it in their hands, and you know what? Maybe now they're a new pistol shooter, or maybe they just things get started and get moving for them that way. I think being inclusive and welcoming people is probably one of the best things that we as gun owners can do. So let's talk
Yeah,
about
exactly.
training a
And as
little
soon
bit,
as
Eric.
uh,
Oh,
yeah,
go
for
ahead.
sure. Oh no, I was gonna say like yeah, like as soon as quarantine's lifted, I have on schedule to take all the friends that got their new guns to the range. So that'll be
Hmm.
great. We'll keep our
Yeah.
social distancing.
Um,
So
Yeah, absolutely. And those folks who are now new gun owners, who and you just said you're going to take them to the range and help them out. What kind of stuff were they buying? Have they told you what they bought? What were they getting?
yeah, it's sort of just yeah skewed towards like okay, what's like the best like pump action shotgun that'll do it
Hmm.
for them. So definitely like steered them toward the Mossberg and Remington, the
Hmm.
Remington 870, Mossberg 500 series. So those are the two like go-to ones for pump actions.
Yeah.
And for handguns, like sort of steered them more towards striker fired guns like Glocks or whatever is
Hmm.
available at the gun stores. Because I know at least for around this area, I was hearing 5 hour waits and almost no inventory left. So it's possible
Yeah.
someone ended up with really, really obscure gun and caliber. So we'll see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw some of the video footage of people, waiting in line outside of California gun stores, just and folks, the gun store operators coming out to tell them, nope, we're all out of 45 ACP. We still have, 9 millimeter left or something like that. That you're kind of in the epicenter of all of this stuff that's going on right about now, whether it be gun control or, lots of people purchasing firearms and stuff like that. How are you feeling? What are you seeing? When you see all this stuff going on out there, you've been doing Pew Pew Tactical for a couple of years now in an area where, quite frankly, guns are typically not welcome. Are you seeing a change in the people who are out there?
Yeah, I think it's probably people that were like always thinking about getting guns, but maybe societal pressure or anything like that, they weren't really getting it. And this gave them that impetus to finally get it when they realize, okay, I might be the person in charge of like me and my family's safety if something goes crazy. And
Yeah.
there's a slight chance of that now. And so I think it just
Hmm.
gave them that additional push to finally get a firearm. And unfortunately, it was a lot of people at the same time. So they have those waits. They had to figure out, okay, there's a waiting period too, and then they have to wait to pick up the gun, and then they don't get to practice with it. So it was
Mhm.
just like this perfect storm of everything. So hopefully, I think moving
Yeah.
forward, they'll sort of know what's going on. Maybe they'll get some ammo when it's a little bit cheaper, and they'll hit the range a lot more often when it's finally opened up.
Absolutely. I want to ask you, I don't know if it's too personal a question. Does your wife shoot with you? If we're talking about bringing family members and stuff like that, I know I started my kids shooting when they were 7 years old. Um, and do you think that's a good idea? Is it, the family that shoots together stays together kind of thing?
Mhm. Yeah, definitely. I think one of our first dates was to the shooting range, and so she
Hmm.
doesn't love guns, but she can shoot. She shoots a little lower, so it's
Hmm.
actually kind of scary. They're all like perfect groin shots, so wouldn't want to be a bad guy in our house. um,
Yeah.
but otherwise,
You
yeah, her
think that's
favorite is also
subconscious?
the Glock 17. I don't know. We'll
Yeah.
see, but
So,
she's pretty
yeah.
accurate,
Yeah. And,
and
and consistent,
she
you
takes all our
say.
photos.
So, yeah.
Yep.
Great.
Yeah, she takes
Outstanding.
all our
So,
photos. Mm.
Uh, nice. Certainly not of the groin shots. Now I got that stuck in my head. Now you've thrown me off my script. I had a list of important questions, and now all I can think about
Mm.
is that Eric Hung's wife regularly shoots groin shots on silhouette targets. So I'm a little bit nervous about that. Um, uh, when you first started going looking for training, where did you go?
For me, it was online just to sort of know a little bit of what's going on, and then definitely there's a good amount of courses around here. Shout out to ITTS
Hmm.
and Uncle Scotty for the area, but yeah,
Hmm.
basically doing some in person shooting. Where they
Hmm.
focused on safety and then a little bit more on like more tactical stuff. But the
Hmm.
first course was just like heavy on safety. That's like the number one thing they preached, and sort of just
Yeah.
going from there. Yep.
Hmm. Yeah, I love the idea that firearms instructors are focusing on safety, and a lot of people, who are coming new to this lifestyle, probably don't get that. I'm assuming that people don't understand that we're at the lowest level all time since they've started keeping records of negligent or unintentional firearms injuries, and that comes from training. It comes from safety training, and like you said, remembering those four firearm safety rules very specifically. Don't point that gun at anything you don't want to destroy. It's just that simple. Where that muzzle is pointed, if the bullet comes out of that muzzle for any reason, whether you intended to or not, it's going to keep going straight until it hits something that will stop it. And unfortunately, negligent discharge with injury is something that can really cause change your life forever, end a life,
Mhm.
and totally destroy something that you never intended to destroy. So
Mhm.
very serious about stuff like that. So talking a little bit about beyond guns, how popular on your site are things like medical kits or stories about medical training or things like that? Because I stress this all the time that people who carry guns should also have a tourniquet and at least rudimentary
Mhm.
first aid knowledge. Let's talk a little bit about that. Is it something popular on Pew Pew Tactical?
Yeah, like we have a couple articles dedicated to that. Try to get a lot of, I guess, subcategories. So we have like best med kits for the range, best IFAKs, which individual first aid kits, and those include like the tourniquets and things like that, because that's probably what you're going to use a little bit more often than your gun, maybe.
Mhm.
So definitely always have that, and I definitely see more people carrying like EDC everyday carrying med kits too.
Mhm.
There's like the ones that go
Yeah.
on your ankle and on your belt. So I think, yeah, the whole safety department is getting more recognition now too.
Yeah, there's a good opportunity out there for folks to understand that first aid training. You're right. You're going to use your first aid training and your first aid gear infinitely more often. There's more opportunity to use that than you will ever use your self defense firearm. So for all you folks who might be new to this, who've just bought your first gun, stop for a minute, take a deep breath, and think about something like, at the very least, getting a tourniquet and understanding how to apply it and how to self apply it in the event that you are injured. Eric mentioned IFAK, the individual first aid kit. Remember, that's for an individual. It should be for you to make sure that you can help yourself or a loved one with that first aid material. But I understand if you want to use your first aid material to help somebody else who's hurt. But a good quality first aid kit. And I'm not just talking about, triple antibiotic ointment and Band-Aids. I'm talking about, gauze bandages and tourniquets and things that will help you in a trauma situation, because a gunshot wound, no matter how minor you might think it is, no matter what you saw on TV, a gunshot wound is serious business. And it's something that you need to understand how to treat as quickly as possible, because the sooner you can provide care, the better chance that the person who got shot is actually going to live. So, Eric, what else do we need to tell people who are just coming into this firearms and self-defense and home defense lifestyle? What kind of information do you want to share with them? What do you think is most important for them to know?
I think, yeah, I'm probably like a broken record at that point. It's basically just being safe and then just choosing the stuff based on your current situation. If your walls are really, really thin, you probably don't want a shotgun with slugs or anything like that. But just
Yeah.
choosing the gun for what you can shoot and for your environment and maybe the other family members that might need to use it as well.
Mm-hmm. And folks, I don't want to make this into a real heavy sales pitch or anything like that, but joining organizations that are involved in firearms, and yes, I represent the USCCA, and yes, I want you to join the USCCA. We do have a great offer for you out there, but getting online, getting out and looking for groups of like-minded individuals, learning about this stuff and sharing that knowledge and sharing what you've learned. I mean, one of the best way to learn something is to teach it to somebody else. So if you have the opportunity to impart some knowledge on someone else and show people how to be safe and show people what you're doing with your firearm. I love firearms evangelists. Boy, we're out there telling everybody what's going on and doing the best we can to help out. I want this new age of gun ownership to continue growing, to continue getting bigger and better. And I want everybody out there, everybody who doesn't own a gun right now, I want them to start thinking the same way I think, which is, gun ownership is a big responsibility, but it's actually pretty cool. Eric, we can get ready to kind of close this out. What would you be saying to folks who are just getting started? What do you want them to do, and what do you want them to know?
I'd say, yeah, like just for the like USCCA thing, I was looking at my card yesterday. I've been a paid member since 2017, like mid 2017, and it's been great, like tons of training. And I also see at the bottom there's you get the chance to enter for a 5-day VIP training worth 25 grand. I'm
Yeah.
like, ooh, that's really nice. I wonder if I can apply for that. So
Yeah,
I'll look into
I
that
think we got a
afterwards.
member. Yeah, I think we have a member offer. If you're already a member, you can apply for one of those offers too. But yes, we are definitely giving away some really cool prizes for new members. So, folks, if you are ever thinking about USCCA membership, yeah, go ahead. Now might be the time. So, Eric, I think we got it. I think we've covered just about everything we wanted to cover on our list of important topics. I really want to thank you for being here. This has just been great getting to know you a little bit and talking with you. Love your website, love your emails. So keep them coming, and thank you. And if you got any parting words, now is the time.
I'd say just goodbye to your wallet if you get really into guns. That's about it. Yeah.
Yeah, you're going to spend some money, folks. That's it's part of the game. But you know what? I've really enjoyed it, and as kind of a lifelong hobby, I don't think I could have picked a better one. So, thanks again, Eric. Thank you for being here, folks. I'm Kevin Michalowski, editor of Concealed Carry Magazine from the United States Concealed Carry Association. Thanks a lot.